So welcome everyone to yoga here at Bonnevaux with all of us here in the community. There won't be a class next week, but we'll send that also around by email. There won't be a class next week, and we'll pick up the following week. And then there will be a little break around Easter because we have the Easter retreat here, but we'll announce that. And voila! So we've been looking at a number of things recently. We were looking at plank and lunge poses. But what I'd like to do today is I'd just like to start in child pose, just ordinary child pose. Let's do the two main variations. So the first one is with your knees together. And you don't want to be bottoms up. It's not squirrel pose. So if you find, that it's pushing you up, or you have issues behind your knees or under your ankles, those are very good places to put a little bit of support where my hands are, under the ankles, or a folded blanket between the knees. And then you can rest your head on your wrists, flat on the floor. Yeah, as you like. And so Henriette, let's start with arms forward if it's comfortable for you, and then we'll go arms back. Good, and just, yeah, no, you can stay how you were, John, if that's easier. And so just letting yourself settle. So remembering that that the principles behind how human beings move in gravity can become a vocabulary and a grammar for creating your own practice, looking at Tai Chi or looking at yoga poses or other movement forms, and picking up the patterns and seeing what's helpful for you and what's not helpful. And we've always begun with the relationship between sensing my weight and allowing my breath to come and go. And those two words put together the sense which I have been calling nearness, rather than looking at-ness, or participation rather than performing. So sensing your weight very quickly, especially if you get used to doing that when you're about to meditate, or if you're having an argument with someone, or in all situations, you can be with the other and aware of your weight. And this is not self-consciousness, it's actually presence. And as we sense into the weight, we notice, or we can allow ourselves to notice, that the breath comes and goes. And the breath moves us, breathing moves us. We fill, which is one kind of opening and lengthening, and then we empty the breath, which is another kind of lengthening. So just noticing that we rarely start in child pose, but you can start in the shower, in standing. You can bend forward to the counter while you're waiting for the kettle to boil or the toast to toast. You can lie on your back, you can do child pose. And it's very sweet because you realize then that you don't need to prepare for 30 minutes in order to move. You don't need to lie on the floor, or you can just move. And as you move, you can let yourself play with what you want to explore or organize or work on. We can start slow, we can start fast, you can work on this while you're going for a jog. Okay, so let's just widen the knees as much as you like. Yeah. And then come back down. So this is a very, very good child pose for the hip joints. try to imagine as your knees go away from each other, that you can look at my hands, that it's almost as if you're allowing your femurs to turn in. Yeah, you're not turning out like a ballet dancer. Because of the bending into child pose, the top of your femurs up here are actually turning in as you settle down. So just letting that happen. And then you can do a very gentle movement from side to side of your torso. Small at first, but it doesn't need to be big. It's like just a shifting of weight. I shift my weight more onto my left hip, leg, onto my right. Yeah. So through the weight and becoming near and noticing the breath, we become aware of the richness of our asymmetry, which you don't need to iron out. Balance does not need symmetry. We are asymmetrical, we always will be. So as you move a little bit from side to side, you will notice that you can go further into one, less far. So when I go to the right, it feels like I'm moving up over a bump, over a little hill. When I move my torso to the left, onto my left hip, I feel like I sink in. So that's that is, as we come near to ourselves and we enter the garden of the body, that's really what we're learning. We want to learn to pick that up and not critique it or judge it, or we can play with balancing things out, but there's nothing wrong with the differences, the side to side differences. Very good. Then come up with your bum a bit and curl your toes under. And then let yourself go back. This time you can push a little bit with your arms if you want to, if it helps you to be a bit more sturdy on your feet, but you want to really go back onto your bended feet and make sure that you haven't swiveled off the big toe, that you really are landing onto and bending into the big toe. And the spine is long and it's draped over. Okay, and then leave the toes curled, but come up onto your hands. And with using your hands, we're just going to roll back slowly through the feet. Take your time to feel all the bits that you're rolling through. I find that I can go a bit further down if my feet are a bit wide from each other, but for some of you, it'll just be very easy even with the feet together. And you're going, and you're kind of sinking back onto the heels. And you can see that as I sink back, I just reach forward a little bit with my arms. So my spine is lengthened forward as I'm reaching back into the heels. And we're going to walk forward. So don't bypass all of this. Enjoy rolling through the foot, through the toes, the knees. And we're going to go, and we're going to keep going until we're in squirrel pose. So your femurs, the bones of the upper leg will be tilting back. Your bum will be in the air, your tail up, and your spine hanging off completely. Forward on the floor. Okay. And if you go through, look through all the classes we've done since the beginning of 2020, you'll see that we've spent so much time exploring how the spine bends forward and the spine bends back. We've done it in upside down, on your back, and kneeling, because this is a fundamental way of beginning to let the body open up and lengthen and align itself better. Okay, and then you're going to walk with your hands slowly. You're going to make your way back towards child pose. And then the toes are curled under. So then you're going to continue to walk back through the feet and again through. So we're all very different in the hips. Some of you can keep your feet together and just go all the way back. But if it's complicated, like for me, you can widen the knees. You see how I'm doing? You widen the knees a little, lift up, and then sink back down in, and you'll find that things have opened up. And again, length through the spine so the arms can go forward. So Sini, try and bring the toes in a bit, but the heels out a bit. Yeah. Yeah, but maybe, yeah, and you decide if your feet are too wide. They may be a little too wide now. Yeah. Try to really sink back into the heels. And then we're going to roll through the feet again. Hang out over the big toe, really bend into the big toe. And then the knees, and then sliding through to squirrel. Yeah. So, yeah, as long as you're not irritating your shoulders, it's wonderful for the deep front of the spine to let go. If the shoulders are bothering you, you can tuck one or both arms under. And you can be directly forward on your forehead or with your head turned to one side and then to the other side. All of those are really helpful. Wonderful. Okay, so we're gonna make our way back to child pose, under the feet. And this time we'll bring the arms back towards the heels. Your knees can be wide, so you need to be comfortable. And so all of these strong, deep front bends, be careful if you've injured your neck or you've injured your lower back. Yeah, and then if you want to, if you feel comfortable and safe when you're ready, you can get hold of your heels with the palms of your hands and then gently pull the chest in and pull the forward towards your knees. Yeah, you may need to bring your knees a bit closer together, Sini. Just, yeah. And really tuck in. Often this is called rabbit pose. Yeah, so you really pull in, and in terms of yoga, you're closing the bandhas, all these horizontal structures. So you're squeezing the roof of the mouth, the floor of the mouth, the thoracic aperture at the top, the diaphragm, and the pelvic floor as you bunch yourself up into a rabbit that's about to spring forward. You can even hold your breath if you want, in or out. And then when you want to, you let go of that and you lengthen yourself long by letting go and beginning to bring your arms forward. And just settling into the fold deep in the legs, the length of the spine, the way the organs are resting on the legs, the way the spine is resting on the organs, the drop off of the arms and shoulders. Really, really noticing, is the weight really coming down into my knees and shins and toes? Are my elbows really releasing to the floor? Yeah, my wrists, my fingers. Over time, we become sweetly aware, it doesn't need to be a big drama, but of places where we hold, often, sometimes for good reason, but we hold away from the floor. I mean, to stand up, I have to lift and hold. But there are places where we don't stop. So here, just elbows are a good one. You know, my elbows really releasing to the floor, allowing my head to drop off. Okay, okay. So then come undone and lie on your backs. Just going to get my glasses. I don't know. Okay. Yeah. So a little bit wide the legs, lots of space in the armpits. Is where you felt better now? Or still? Is the buttock better where you felt?
It's better than it used to be, but now I notice.
So it's still there somehow.
Yeah.
Wow. Long time. Okay. Okay, long, heavy, just let the breath move through the body, and that's it. Rock your head a little bit, you can rock your limbs a little bit, just to check that you're giving completely over to the floor. Okay, and then we're going to bend the knees, so the feet will plant. Hip width apart, they don't need to be very close to your pelvis. Yeah. And just take a moment to be in the feet, to be from heels to toes, to notice if they're quiet or buzzing, and just notice. You don't need to change much, just notice. And the legs, how much do you need to hold them to keep them there? Okay. So then open your imagination to have a tail, of maybe a wolf's tail going down between your legs, and a big head direction. So you've got antlers growing out of your head. So you really are opening up the head direction. That's different from tucking your chin in, for example, or doing something that actively lengthens your neck and flattens it. You don't need to do that. Just grow antlers. Just trust the imaginary. It is really a gift that we have, you know. We are capable of making images. They don't need to be built verbally, but they touch and transform us physically. They always have. That's why we read poetry or look at paintings or dance, because it touches us and we leap with the dancer, or we dive in the painting. So develop these branches or this rose growing out of your head, up and out. Yeah. And this tail opening, long, heavy, alive, really part of your imagination. Feeling how the antlers and tail are transforming the bony river and the visceral river of your axial body, your spine. And then your tail begins to go up, and your feet wake up. And as the tail goes up, there's a feeling that the knees also are going up and away. So that will mean that your pelvis will tilt. Yeah, and you'll start to come up. And the important thing, and you can do it the other way, the important thing is not to lift your lower back like a plank. So next time you're down, you can do the planky version, which doesn't require a tail. It just requires you to squeeze in your back and your bum and your belly. And you lift the whole of you up like a plank, and then you could do 500 of those or whatever, right? So that's one thing, just feel what that's like and do, and then come back to the antlers and the tail and the weight and the breath. Yeah, this day-by-day journey of discovering that this is not some ridiculous, horrible thing that you know nothing about, this body, but that it's actually the most amazing friend. And it's you, it's yours. So then the tail is going up and the belly drops. You don't need to tuck it in. And the pelvis tilts. And then you activate your feet and your knees and your pelvis goes up. And then your spine is hanging off like a string of pearls from your tail all the way down to your head. So it's a string of pearls with a coconut at the end and a tail at the other. It's quite interesting. Or when you keep going up and you keep going up and you move through the ribs and you keep going up and your huge feet and you keep going up and make a ha sound. So if your sound is not resonant, you're probably not hanging from your tail. You're probably going to fart in the next few seconds. So go back to your tail, hang from your tail, and then we're going to come down in reverse. So the tail is hanging and it's dangling you down bit by bit, vertebra by vertebra, all the way through the spine until the last bits touch the ground. All the way through. And huge feet and big antlers, and the tail is going up. We can let it accelerate, but we're not rushing. Tail goes up, and this time as you roll to the top, you let your arms get vertical. Yeah. And you can turn your arms on their axes, and you'll feel how you move through the tissue of those upper ribs. Keep going up with the tail, relaxed in the buttocks as much as possible, and then releasing yourself down through the tail. The arms stay up all the way through. Huge feet, immensely long and heavy spine. And then the tail is going up, big feet, knees. You don't need to squeeze things, and you're going up, rolling through the spine, rolling higher and higher on those upper ribs. And when you're happily as high as you want to go, then you let the arms go up and over the head. That's it. And you'll be able to go up a bit more. So keep going up. The sound is coming out of your armpits. Now, as you come down, being dangled from your tail, leave your arms behind. Leave the lungs behind. Let those upper vertebrae and ribs do something new. If it's irritating your shoulders, just widen your arms or You can put a little cushion under each if you need. You shouldn't be in pain. And as you come back to the floor, don't adjust the upper body. Leave it there. Leave it there. This is an outrageously new position for the top ribs and the shoulders and neck. Leave it there. And you can just slide the legs long. Try not to change anything in the upper body. Just leave yourself. Let your spine have its curves. Don't look at them. You're just sitting in the garden, near. Yeah. It's very sweet because in mystical theology, you hear often the use of the term transcendence or otherness, and then there is immanence. And we know that we can experience this extraordinary divine wonder of creation, whatever word or image you want to give it, and it can feel totally other or totally intimate and near and close. And in our everyday, we do have a tendency to push our bodies away, to push the divine away, and to make it all kind of far and difficult and complicated. When actually, it's also very much the presence of the divine lover, intimate and near. Okay, don't change the arms, just bring the legs back up. Bring the legs back up, the feet, the tail, the antler, and the tail is going up, 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 up. And you're rolling up through, you're rolling up as high as your body is happy to go, up onto those top ribs, the top two ribs, high at the upper edges of your shoulder blades. You can feel you're bending into your cervicals, your neck bones. Wonderful. And then let the arms float up. And as the arms come down at your sides, let your spine come down. So everything comes down together. Yeah. And just be there for a bit. The breath, the weight. Yeah, don't complicate anything. The thing to notice while moving is that the mood may shift. The mood may shift about a specific thing from the day or the past week or about a more general sense. So just to notice that the mood has shifted, or memories pop up, thoughts pop up that are quite visual, and just to let them appear and be. We don't need to grab onto, we can let ourselves be surprised or whatever, but we don't need to put them in a spreadsheet or a database or even a Word document. We don't need to capture them in any way. It's just that when we move our embodied self, everything moves, and we make connections, and sometimes we realize something was resolved. That's why in Patanjali, in the Yoga Sutras, there is a clear indication that the asanas are a preparation for meditation. So that's the second sutra of Patanjali, Yoga Chitta Niti Nivroda. Yoga Vritti Nirodha. Yoga is the settling of the mind into silence. So all the movement work is all part of this harmonizing of our being, which is which is a beautiful potential that we all have. And it's not just for ourselves, it's for everyone. Okay, so let's let the arms float up from the fingertips through the hand, yeah. And then let your legs float up and keep your knees soft so that you are a bit like a cockroach that's fallen onto its back, or a cow that's fallen on its back. Maybe doing yoga, or maybe dying, or who knows. Very soft in the armpits, soft in the groins, and then just yeah, yeah, and then just allow your legs and your arms to move a little bit. Don't worry about is there a right movement. It's like it's like a baby in a it's like a baby, and you've got your toy up there, and you're trying to reach it.
There's the light bulb up there.
And the light bulbs. You can reach for your toes. Yeah. You can straighten and bend and release and and then as the legs fold in, put your hands around your knees and put one ankle over the other. And you can either connect your hands or hold each kneecap. It's up to you. And then we're just going to let the legs rock a little bit from side to side. So you're moving the pelvis and you're moving across those very strong lower back structures. The breath, the weightedness, little circles, change direction. Try not to do the shape of what you're doing, the shape of the movement. Try to imagine that you're moving the weight around. It's like you've got your fingers in some dough and you're moving it around, or some clay. You start to have a not so bony feeling about this pelvis as you make circles or wobble. Great, then put the other foot on top. And again, just easy movements, circles, side to side. The breath, the sense of weight. Soft in the face. Okay, and then we're just going to let the right leg extend along the ground. So the left leg is bent, and you've got your hands around your kneecap, and the right leg is very long. And you can just wobble that bent leg. Don't pull it in too hard. The harder you pull it, the more you pull in the long leg. You want to let the long leg lengthen away. And you want the bent leg to be dropping in. Little movements, lots of breath. Lots of breath. Weight. So much breath. And then change legs. Long leg. If you flex the foot, you'll feel that you actively lengthen the leg. Then relax. And then heavy the bended leg and wobbling it a little so it kind of settles down. If the long leg wants to turn out a lot, it doesn't matter, just let it. Great, and then just stop for a minute and breathe. The breath and the weight are like brother and sister. And it's a pity if in yoga, you know, we're being told where to breathe and how to breathe and to focus on the breath, because it can make a mess of things. So let gravity cause you to breathe. I mean, it's really a chemical thing that causes you to breathe, but gravity is putting us on the ground and inviting us to empty. So we breathe out. And then the world is so beautiful and rich and creative that we are inspired and we breathe in. And that's it. Great. A few more breaths and then come round to standing. Try not to move from your head, but to roll and let your head follow. Okay. How are we doing? Good? Okay, we're going to do some balances, but just before we do, just stand with one foot on the mat and one foot off the mat. It's a nice way to feel where you're going so that you don't do that with your foot, put it in front of the other one, but you put it in front of where it was. So the line of the mat is still there. Yeah. And then the step is not too big, so you can be on the back leg. Put your hands on your hips, and we're going to turn the elbows, but not the hips. So the hips kind of stay, but your elbows and your ribs turn, and as they do, you can move your hands up to your ribs and lift them. So the ribs, arms, elbows, head, neck, that's all turning. You need to step forward. Yeah. But that's very nice. But the pelvis is not turning so much. Yeah, that's beautiful. And leave your arms there. Now we just go the other way. Okay. So good. Great. Let's do it again. So I think this is such a simple way to understanding triangle pose, so that we know where the pelvis went or didn't go, we know where the ribs went, and we know that one lifted off the other. That's fundamental to all these standing poses. So if you start with your hands on your hips, if you need to know where your pelvis is, then you can feel that you're moving your elbows and ribs, but you're not moving your pelvis. Then you can move up to the ribs and kind of gently lift them up as you go around to normal Trikonasana, normal triangle pose, which is towards, that looks good, towards the back leg. Yeah, and then when you're happily there, just open your arms. Yeah, you're doing reverse, Henriette, but you can stay, because we're going to do the other one in a minute. Yeah, John, you can turn more. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, yeah. And then the arms come up. So we have two big V's of the legs and V's with the arms. And the ribs are lifted. And now we turn towards that front leg. Yeah, yeah. Stay on the back foot, but now you'll be a bit more on the front and bring the arms down. And really twist the cap on the top part of the jar. The upper body, really let it twist. Brilliant. And the arms come down. That was beautiful. Yeah. And just swivel. Nice, easy. And then we take a step. Okay. Hands on the pelvis. So I'm going to turn. And I'm just letting myself, I mean, the pelvis might yield a little. You don't want to be too strict, but you don't want to do like this, because then it's all in the knees. And because you want the counter rotations to happen here where they belong. That's why we have these diagonal muscles here, for that reason. So I'm turning my rib cage. This is not moving. Then I grab my ribs and I continue with that exploration. Yeah. Lifting the ribs off the pelvis is the beginning of healing your posture and all your back troubles. We've all ended up crashed onto, we've lost this rooting and lifting. And then the arms go out. And it's absolutely marvelous. And you're just so glad that you do yoga. And it's all wonderful. And it's open and you can look around. And then it's nice to make this V with the arms that maps the V of the legs. Yeah, and play with that sense of lift and rotation. And then we go around towards that front leg, or not. And then the arms come down. Open up those arms, yeah. Open the legs, that looks beautiful. Open through the back of the knees. Open, open, and drop the arms and swivel. That was beautiful, yeah. Great. Okay. Maybe just go for a little walk and just to let things undo. Yeah, rolling through the feet, arms and legs swinging, shoulders. Yeah, you see, watch me. When the shoulders have crashed down onto the pelvis, either in flexion or extension, then they don't move anymore. But when actually we have a bit of lift, then we can really move, That's it. And of course, when you're playing with it, you overdo it. But it's a pity when the upper body has stopped moving. Imagine you're aiming for your 10,000 steps a day, and the upper body is not moving. C'est vraiment triste. Yeah, that's it. You see, that's lovely. All of those movements, you can imagine the heart, the lungs, all of these tissues, the vertebrae, the ribs, everything is moving against each other. It makes the best polenta cake. Yeah. Okay. 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 So we're just going to move the weight from the right to the left, just easy. Yeah, and as you do that, you'll exactly do that. You'll decide, oh, I want my feet a bit wider or a little less wide. Yeah. But I'm not moving the shape. I'm just putting my weight there. Then I'm putting my weight there. And then notice, look at my fingers. You don't need to do this, but you can if you want to. You have these options. If the stabilizers don't work and you put your weight, you go like that. But we have this very strong tissue and these strong muscles that can make us not do that. That's right. And on the other side, you can let go completely. Yeah. Or you cannot let go completely. So if we're going to balance on one leg, you maybe don't want to let go completely because it'll disorganize you and it's not so pleasant. So we can start to balance on this leg and we're stabilizing across here. And that helps us feel this lift. So I've got my foot and I'm lifting up and the leg comes up. And we're going to, so you can just grab hold of your knee if you want, or you can continue around and grab hold of your foot. Oopla. Yeah, I think my glasses are giving me too many life details. Yeah, so then you can grab hold of your foot like this at the knobbles, and then just move it around and lift it up. Yeah, if it works, you can put it over your head. Yeah, and then drop it. Nice. Yeah, same thing. We go to the other side, and balancing is a kind of constant falling, so don't get rigid. Foot comes up and you're balancing down, and outside the two sides are stabilizing, and the leg comes up. And you're breathing and you notice the world around you. And this leg can come up. Yeah. Yeah. And that's nice. If you hold at the ankle bones, you won't hurt your knee. Yeah. Yeah, so it comes up. So these knobbles, you want to hold at the knobbles. Yeah. And drop. Very nice. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So we're going to do tree pose, which requires the balance and the leg and then the foot to go in there. So I don't know how you like to do it, but I need a little bit of stickiness for my foot. So I'm going to balance, and then I'm going to bring that leg up, and I'm going to plant it. So this is important because if you feel your trouser is slipping down, and then you're holding in your thighs, that's not tree pose, that's monster pose. So you want to be able to really let the leg go completely, the bended leg, against the other leg. So this really lets go. And then bring your knees slightly forward so that you're wide across your back. Yeah, and then you're standing. Yeah, you can be out here. You can be up here. You can do it near the wall and let go, Henriette, if you want.
I see everything moving.
Yeah, I know, me too. That's why I took my glasses off. And then what we want to do is when you're up there, you just bend the leg, bend the standing leg, bend the leg, and then come back up, and then come up on your toes. Yeah, yeah, that's it. That's nice, Henriette. Yeah, yes. Yeah. And then a little bit on the other side. So big foot. And the wobble of the balance is one of the most amazing things for, oh, it's a hole. That's what that white thing is. The wobble. So don't worry about the wobble or even that moment where you lose your balance. It's a wonderful waterfall of movement. So just enjoy falling over. So we balance. The leg comes up. We really plonk the leg, the foot into the other one. Yeah, really let go. Yeah, coming up through the center, bring the knee forward so you're wide across the back. And then arms can be up or down or whatever you like. Yeah, and also just being quiet. You know, the putting the hands together, the mudra, if you like that, you can, yeah. And then we can bend the knees and we can go up. Oh, I went too fast. Up. Yes. Yes. Great. Lift up through the ribs. Yeah. Kung Fu master. Okay. Yeah.
Easier.
Yeah, beautiful. Beautiful. How was that?
Yeah.
It's good, no?
Apart from on the toes bit was too much.
That's not easy. Okay, so we're going to put our hands like this. And we're going to bring the leg back and we're going to hook it this way. You can also do it that way, but this is the better one to start with. But if you don't know what that means, don't get fussed. It's just that I'm going to hook it that way. No, it's
The other way.
yeah.
Like that.
No, it's like that.
Oh.
Yeah. Only if you can. Yeah. if you can. So you've got your leg. Yeah, because that brings the shoulder back. Okay. Then drop the knee, lift the arm and balance. Now, we're going to keep going up with the arm, not down. Up with the arm as you bring that leg back. Back and up. Yes, up, that's beautiful. Great, Henriette, up with the arm. Yeah. But going up and forward is not important. What's really important in the beginning is dropping the knee, dropping that knee and getting the arm behind you and drop the knee, drop the knee, drop the knee. Then the arm goes up and then you just open that leg back and you keep going up and you enjoy the process of balancing and of losing your balance. That's great, John. You're making it more complicated by doing that, but that's okay.
That way.
Yeah, it's that one. Yeah. Think of your thumb being back. Yeah. So both sides, great, Henriette. You're being very productive over there. Both sides. Don't rush into the shape. Spend a moment dropping the knee and letting the arm come behind you and kind of getting long over the balancing leg. This is, John, very good for the sacrum, incredibly good for the sacrum. Then, and the lower back issues. Then the arm comes up, and then you start to go back with the leg. And you only tilt the whole thing later, much later in the process, when the leg is touching the roof. Then you come down. Yes, up you go. Yes, keep going up with the leg. Now tilt. Beautiful, Sini. That's it, John. That was great. Great. Hooray. Yeah. Yeah, it's wonderful. Wonderful. Yeah, backbends are so healing. So we'll just close like this on your knees. Yeah, like Etty Hillesum praying in her toilet. Okay. So drop down into your knees. It takes a moment. The back will not release completely, but you want it to be as soft as possible back here. Then the arms go up. Now, the ribs have to lift up off the pelvis like we've been doing, up. And it's this up that opens the back bend high up between your shoulder blades. Make a ha sound, it should resonate. And then the pelvis comes forward a bit later. Keep lifting up as you reach back, bring your elbows towards each other. And it's as if you were going to go back to touch your heels. And release. And beautiful. And just forward into child pose for a minute. Breath and weight. Okay, so we're going to go into a soggy dog, bended knee dog. And the hands, lovely and open, the toes, the bum going up. Really get onto those toes, bend the toes and let the tail go up. Keep letting it go up. Keep letting it go up. So you're really going up through the arms and spine. That's beautiful. And up through the legs, like something in the legs is straightening, even though it may not completely straighten. Yeah. Beautiful. Huge length. And then if you want to open up the lower leg by the heel, you can reach back towards the floor with your heels. Yeah, it doesn't matter if you don't touch. Yeah, try not to lose your tail completely. Yeah. Beautiful. Lots of length, lots of awareness through the hands and the feet. Wonderful. And come down. And we'll just come back onto our backs. That was beautiful, everyone. Yeah. So we're legs bent, you're on your back. Huge feet. Come back to the sense of weight. Settle away from the images of the shapes you were doing. Wobble the head if you need to let go in the upper body, and then just letting your legs go to the right. Don't tidy your feet up, just leave them where they are. So it's like a parallelogram, it's like a squashed shoebox going over to one side. And just notice the spirally twistiness coming up through the lumbers, letting the belly hang to one side. Being aware and appreciating the different pulls in the groins and around the hips. And then we come back. And the breath. And then we go the other way. Okay. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, all of you around the world. Thank you, Luke. So there won't be a class next week, but we'll pick up the week after that and we'll email you. Thank you. Au revoir.
Thank you.